or the impact of a meteor, or a sudden shift in climate that drives one species to extinction and allows another one to survive. That's okay. A Christian specifically sees his life, his family, his small place in history as part of God's plan. Okay, we understand that. He has faith that God expects him to use his talents and abilities in God's name. All right, true enough. He accepts the adversity that comes into his life as a challenge from God. And he sees apparent misfortune as an opportunity to do good in the service of both God and man. These non-controversial elements of Christianity are so ordinary that we sometimes forget what they imply about the interplay of history and free will and chance. So let's put it simply. They mean that God, if he exists, surpasses our ordinary understandings of chance and causality. Do they not? I think they do. Christians know that chance plays an undeniable role in history, and nonetheless accept the events that affect them in their daily lives as a part of God's plan. This means that Christians already agree that the details of a historical process can be driven by chance. That to allow for individuals' free will, the outcome of such a process need not be preordained, and that the final result of the process may nonetheless be seen as part of God's will. We already understand that. So why is it so difficult to understand that in the biological world? Isn't that interesting? These ordinary elements of religious teaching merge smoothly into everything we know about evolution. Biological history, just like human history, is a contingent process. The chance extinction of a rare species can profoundly affect the course of evolution in the same way that an unexpected death of a single person could change political or economic history. Wind the tape of history back to the era of the Civil War. Maybe this time Pickett's charge succeeds. Maybe this time the bullet from Booth's gun fails to kill the president. Maybe this time an ancestor of Kennedy or Nixon or even Reagan does not recover from his wounds, and a political figure does not appear for generations later. Allow any of these chance events another roll of the dice, and they very well could be very different. Our entire century could have been extremely different. We're all well aware of that. It's a chance event that we are the way we are right now. Interesting, isn't it? On Earth in the year 2000, the most important single nation in economic, political, and military terms is the United States of America. Would it be unfair to say that no one could have predicted this 1,000 years earlier? No. It's a chance event. And yet it has free will. Was the establishment of the American nation and its rise to power inevitable? Not at all. Heavens, no. The historical position of any country comes about as a result of choices made by millions of people. Yes? See, that's just home-down common sense, isn't it? The actions of those who rise to power in many nations, and by their interplay with the outcomes of a host of fundamentally indeterminate events, gives us who we are right now. The question for us now is whether the inherent unpredictability of history should lead any person to conclude that God could not have used that historical process to produce the world in which we live in today. Why couldn't he? There's no reason why he couldn't have. I submit that the answer is no, that the ebb and flow of human history is entirely consistent with the Western conception of God. Evolution answers the question of chance and purpose in exactly the same way that history answers questions about the course of human events. To a biologist, evolution is subject to chance and unpredictability, just like human history is. Its outcome is uncertain, just like human history is, and likely to be unrepeatable, just like human history. And evolution admits to no obvious purpose or single goal, just like human history. History, like evolution, seems to occur without divine guidance. No one seems to think that a religious person engaged in the study of history must find a way that God rigged human events in order to cause the Civil War, the Industrial Revolution, or the Holocaust. Yet, curiously, that is exactly what many expect of a religious person engaged in the study of natural history. They want to know how God could have ensured the success of mammals, the rise of flowering plants, and most especially the ascent of man, of course, us. My answer is, in every case, is that God need not have. Evolution is not rigged, and religious belief does not require one to postulate a God who fixes the game, bribes the referees, or tricks natural selection. The reality of natural history, like the reality of human history, is more interesting and thus far more meaningful. The freedom to act and choose enjoyed by each individual in the Western religious tradition requires that God allow the future of His creation to be left open. This leaves the future accessible to human choice and to the multitude of possibilities that we ourselves can create. It is up to us. If it is to be, it is up to me. If it is to be, it is up to me. Because the future is open. Genuinely so. And that is God's plan. Do you see? If events in the material world were strictly determined, then evolution would indeed move forwards to predictable outcomes that so many people seem to want. But if this were the case, how could the future truly be open? As material beings, our actions and even our thoughts would be preordained. We would be robots. Our freedom to act and choose would disappear within a tangle of biochemical machinery. But events in the material world are not strictly determined. The outcome of evolution is not predictable. And as a result, our freedom to act as independent beings is preserved. And that could very well be God's plan. Do you see? So how is a random chance process like evolution consistent with the will of the Creator? Ian Barbour said it this way: nature's laws and chance may equally be instruments of God's intentions. There can be purpose without an exact predetermined plan. Do you see? If we can see the hand of God in the unpredictable events of history, which of course we all do, all the time, but if we can see it in unpredictable history, if we can see the meaning and purpose in the challenges and trials of our daily lives, then we can certainly see God's will emerging on the grand and improbable tree of life. Because His intention is to allow maximum freedom. Do you see?